Scandal, the owner of the insolvent company and his son have opened a restaurant in Baton Rouge. Champion's court-appointed liquidator
costs of $135 million. This disallowance permitted the council to trim the 6% annual rate increases under the phase-in plan to 4.5%. Now, NOPSI has challenged the council's order, and that matter is still in the courts. If the $135 million disallowance order is overturned, increases will go back in the future to 6%. The March '86 settlement cannot be changed by the council or by NOPSI unilaterally. Failure to approve this latest NOPSI annual increase called for under the plan could allow NOPSI to claim a breach of the settlement and seek a much higher rate increase than 4.5% to pay for Grand Gulf. Let me stop for a minute to discuss what might happen if the council does not approve the increase today. As I mentioned, NOPSI could claim that the settlement has been breached and the agreement is off. That, in our view, would cause at least 5 substantially adverse effects to the interests of ratepayers. First, NOPSI could come in and ask for an increase to cover its Grand Gulf costs that would be much higher than 4.5%. If NOPSI asked for full recovery of those costs at this point, the increase that you could be looking at to pass on would be 55 to 60%. Obviously, a very devastating effect to the New Orleans community. If a new phase-in plan were adopted, the rate increase NOPSI might ask for would be in the magnitude of 20%. Again, intolerable in our view to sustain for ratepayers in the community. Second, NOPSI could withdraw its agreement to absorb the $51 million that it wrote off in 1986. It could then try to recover that amount in the future from ratepayers. Third, NOPSI could face a situation where the holders of $115 million of bonds that NOPSI issued over the last several years to finance the Grand Gulf deferrals would come due, and that could cause the company and ultimately the ratepayers severe consequences. Last, fourth, failure to approve this rate increase and cause a possible breach of the agreement could jeopardize the council's defense of the $135 million disallowance that's now in the courts. That would be on the basis of federal preemption, an issue which this council has discussed at length in prior days as far as the disallowance and the rate settlement. Lastly, it might force NOPSI to withdraw its agreement as to the terms for a friendly buyout that has been produced by the negotiations over the last months. In summary, in our view, failure to approve this rate increase presents substantial risks which we believe are intolerable. Now, what will happen in the future under the remainder of the phase-in plan? After this 5th annual increase, we expect to see 4 or 5 more increases